Okay, welcome everyone. As you can see from the slide, this is Essentials of Management Information Systems, and it is Chapter 2, Global E-Business and Collaboration. There are quite a few slides in here, 64 to be exact. Now the good news is the first one is the actual title slide, so we're going to get through that pretty quickly. So I'm going to give you this in different parts, so that you won't have to sit through the whole thing and you can just watch one part and then the other parts as you see leisure. So I'm going to try to do a very thorough job of this, and hopefully you will find it very informative as well. So let's move on to slide number 2. So these are the learning objectives. I'm not going to go through these over here. As you'll see in the PowerPoint presentation that is already published in Canvas, so you can look at that as well. And these are the video cases that are assigned for this week, so we're not going to go through this. Alright, so let's get into it. Here we have enterprise social networking. So we have a problem, and what good is a problem if there's no solution? So we can talk about hierarchical top-down process and culture, and we're going to talk about new competitors, and we're going to talk about the solutions, which obviously we want to improve productivity, reduce the cost, and increase innovation. And I think that is going to be true in any business that you want. We are right now in a world where productivity kind of is slacking for whatever the reason is. It is, and you can see that every single day when you go to work, and the same barriers that have been up and diverting traffic are there for weeks on end, and nothing actually goes down. Obviously, reducing costs is important for businesses. However, reducing costs sometimes means cutting production. So we have to look at that as well. And innovation can, of course, help you with all the others that are come along with it. So again, this is a top-down process. You're not going to see this in the book. This is something that I found on Google. So again, basically, we're talking about going from a general problem to a specific problem. Those of you that have taken IT 301 with me, and possibly a math class, you may have learned this. I have mentioned many times that you take a huge problem and then you break it down into smaller, more easy, manageable problems. And basically, this is the same thing. So we want to take something general and perform something that's going to take care of the specific. So if you want to know what top-down processing is, then this is your lucky day. It begins with the most general and moves towards the more specific, and these perceptions are heavily influenced by our expectations and by prior knowledge. Now, if you want to know what that actually means in English, it's your brain applies what it knows to fill in the blanks and anticipate what's next. I know that's exactly what you were thinking of. So again, this is a top-down processing. It's actually a video that will be available, so you can watch this and go through on. I'm not really, don't remember how long it is, but it really describes the whole process in here.
Either by something called top-down processing, or...
So that takes care of that. So we're going to move on to the next slide. And again, we're talking about enterprise social networking. So basically, what you want to know is if you've been in an organization that you felt very top-down, hierarchical, and not collaborative. In other words, they're telling you what to do and you don't get any input in it. And possibly that could be very well, an example could be a baseball game. You're on first base. They'll tell you whether to steal second base. If you're at home plate, they may say to you, you need to bunt. You also get told what position you're going to play and what order in the lineup you are in. So now I would not mind that based upon you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a children's game. So I can handle that very easily in here. So basically, we're going to talk about the Sharp that implemented a top-down design, and what did Sharp do and did they receive from there. You'll see that in the videos, and you'll see it in the slides itself. So here we go. Sharp's facing stiff competition. You can see that. So again, we're looking ways to improve its business process, which of course is innovation. You can see how many employees it has. And the fact that it was top down means you could not experiment and think of things on your own. Basically, they told you what to do. So we are now in an age of free thinkers. So younger employees and older ones as well want opportunities to think for themselves and share opinions. So here we have a implementation plan by Yammer. This is a link to Yammer if you want to learn about it. It's Microsoft, and it'll explain everything in it, and then of course it will try to get you to buy it. So here is what the Yammer does actually in a nutshell. It allows you to share and edit documents, and there's actually a news feed. So I will be honest with you, I may be dating myself, but until I read this chapter, I had never heard of Yammer. I probably did at one time and dismissed it because it's not something that I use. So here we are organizing a business, the basic function in here. So we need to understand what a formal organization is. And basically, it's a country's legal system could be one as an example, where, in other words, where you have certain powers and obligations to perform. So how businesses might differ depends upon whether they make products or provide services. So something to think about is what role does profit play in business. So here are the business functions. You can see manufacturing and production, sales and marketing, finance and accounting, and of course human resources. We like human resources because they pay us. And then we have 5 business entities over here. So obviously, if you're selling something, you need a supplier unless you're making everything on your own. But then how are you going to get the products that you are making? If you are a business and you don't have any customers, then I don't think you're going to stay in there. Employees, of course, think of how a Publix could operate if they had no employees. If you want to get paid, you must invoice people. Basically the same, you go through the register and they tell you how much to pay. And then of course you need products and services. So here is something for you to think about. What are the business entities at your current workplace? So let's go back over here again. So I am working for Barry University. The customers are the students. The employees are the faculty and the staff. Suppliers are really the books and maybe marketing. Invoices and payments, well, you get invoiced for taking a class, and of course I get paid to teach a class. And the products and services are the classes. So again, so you can think about that on your own and come up with things over here. So we have manufacturing and production. This is a little graphic of how all these things work in here. So basically, every business, regardless of its size, must perform 4 functions to succeed. It must produce the product or the service, market and sell it, keep track of accounting and financial transactions, and perform basic human resources, such as hiring and retaining employees. Now, you might not have a department for each one of those, but of course, you're going to need to have employees, and you're going to need to hire them and do whatever it takes in here. One thing that's important is every function is critical to any business. So basically, a product and a server is the center of the diagram because that's what governs each and every one of those other functions. So here is a business process. I am giving you a direct definition in here. This is in the book. It is a logically related set of activities that define how specific business tasks are performed, such as if you work at Publix or any kind of retail store. Well, you receive merchandise, you put it on the shelf, customer takes it, goes to the register, the cashier rings it up on the register, and then hopefully the customer will pay. And then the ways in which organizations coordinate and organize work activities, information, and knowledge to produce their product in here. So, of course, with Publix, again, I'm using Publix because most everybody is familiar with Publix in here. So they're going to have a manager and office staff that coordinate certain things. Information is all done on a computer. Every time you check out, you're going to see something on the computer. It goes into the back. It stores whatever information is in the transaction, and then it gives you that. So give an example of a business process that you were part of, and what were the tasks? Well, I worked in a supermarket. I managed a supermarket before I decided to go back to school. And so I just kind of gave you those as an example, but I also was a computer programmer. So basically the process was I was given an assignment, do this, or whatever they wanted me to write the program. And I went in there and made a little flow chart or a storyboard of what I needed to do, just jotted down some information. And then I created the code. Then I tested the code. Then I asked somebody else to test the code. Then I asked somebody else to test the code. And then if everything went well, then I made the code live. Then what happened was I would get a call saying this isn't working or that's not working, because people will find things that are very hidden in here. So then I would go in there and fix the code, and then of course republish it. So again, business processes. Again, what are the tasks employees perform? What order? Again, so you can take a look at this. I think we've kind of beat this to death right now. So we're going to talk about functional and cross-functional. So if you take a look at functional, it's sales and marketing. So they both identify customers. Cross-functional are when more than one department is required to do that. And you'll see that in a sales scene very shortly. So I've given you different processes. So my manufacturing production, so we can see assembly, checking the quality, producing bills, sales and marketing. Obviously, we identify customers. I have been identified by 18,000 people wanting to sell me an extended car warranty. So I obviously am a very important person because they keep calling me. So every time I pick up the phone, somebody wants to sell me something. Finance and accounting, obviously, you have to pay your bills. You need to make reports for your accountant, and you need to go to the bank and handle all that. Human resources, of course, is going to hire and give the benefits that they need. Human resources may do your employees' job performance, or it may be done by a management in here. And my favorite is your benefits. So here is a cross-functional example that we have. This example should be in the book. So sales, you're going to create an order and you're going to submit an order. Before that, you might need to create a customer, find a customer. Once you submit the order, if the person's on credit, then you need to make sure they're credit. Otherwise, they have to pay in advance. You go on Amazon, you have a choice of credit or paying by credit card or whatever you want to pay by. If you have credit, they're going to check your credit first. So they're going to either approve the credit and then they're going to generate an invoice. Obviously, they have to have something to ship. So they may need to require to assemble the product in here. So think about this. This is something that we'll talk about in class. Give, and I see I spelled and wrong, example of a business process you're part of and what were the tasks. Well, I had my own computer consulting business, so I did a lot of what we just described shortly. So again, here is order fulfillment. Again, basically the same thing. How IT enhances business processes. Well, obviously, automation is really good. I can't say for sure, but I believe that Publix often will automatically order stuff based upon inventory. However, you see people in the aisle with a little machine and they're going in there scanning a tag and possibly doing a manual order. So all these things are automatic. We have dogs and cats, and what we do is we get automatic shipping of our pet food. So it comes once a month. If we need to add it more, then we'll just add it, but automatically it comes. So these are things that you want to take a look at. managing a business and firm hierarchy. So we have something for each one of these things, senior management, middle, and so on. So think about this. What types of information are pertinent to each level of the hierarchy? So I have some summary of what I feel it is. So senior managers need to be able to quickly inform them about the overall performance of the firm. Middle managers need more specific information on the results of a functional area of the firm. Operational managers need transaction level information, such as inventory each day or the number of hours logged on a Tuesday by employees. Knowledge workers, such as engineers, scientists, architects, design products or services and create knowledge for the firm, and they may also need to access external scientific databases and internal databases for organizational knowledge. I'm sure now you are very happy and can sleep well tonight. Then we have production or service workers. They're the ones that produce the product and deliver the service in here. So they really only need the minimum of information, enough that they can produce the product and do whatever they need to it. So let's see, we are on slide 21. So we'll go to one or two more, and then I'll make another video. So senior management, middle management, and operational management here is the levels in the firm. Business environment here. So we have, they depend heavily on their environments for capital, labor, so all this stuff is basically all saying the same thing, how everything is interdependent upon each one. Global, obviously, technology and science, economic, politics, international change. So when you go online, a lot of these companies you could be purchasing from could not even be in the United States. They share information. Amazon, I'm sure, does huge information on across the world. And then, of course, we have an immediate environment where you have the customers, suppliers, competitors, regulators, and stockholders in here. So we have also an example is going to be how political things, what environments are important for understanding business, is going to be the next slide. And you'll see some options over here. So one of the things is business environments are important for understanding a business. So in this particular case, you've got new developments in technology. Politics, believe it or not, are important in a understanding of business, with all the regulations that sometimes get placed on a business, whether or not they make sense, still have to abide them in here. Customer preferences and regulations happen all the time. So obviously, if you're owning a restaurant and people prefer something that you don't sell, you need to adjust in here. All right, so here we have politics and how they affect in here. So one of the things that comes to mind is what would happen if, well, if something happens and we cannot get the oil from wherever we're getting it from. Well, that's obviously going to have an impact on oil and gas prices. And it's not just going to be here, it's going to be around the world. And then labor costs vary so much that you might make a decision to purchase something that's made in another country. One of the things that comes to mind is Nike. And Nike obviously does a lot of business with China, where they produce a lot of the sneakers that sell for $250 or $300. I do not have that. So I'm going to stop at this slide. We are a little more than 1/3 through. We're getting close to 20 minutes. So I'm going to stop it at this, and I will pick up very shortly. So hope this is helpful for you, and I did try to go as quickly as I can.